and today I am making a Spanish stew called puchero. It's based on chickpeas and chicken. It's very, very simple and easy to make and very cheap to make as well. I make a lot of this because my son both the kids absolutely love it. I personally don't eat it because obviously there's chicken in it. My son's a 7-year-old hypoglycemic, and we manage his blood sugar levels with diet. So this is with chickpeas. Now I placed my chickpeas into soak last night. I did a kilo of chickpeas. I won't be using all of them, but I always do a kilo bag. So pour those into the pan. Just a little over half. Half a kilo of chickpeas will do though if you want to measure it out properly. I'm doing a 10 litre and I'm doing it in the pressure cooker, so it's doubled up. So I have 2 potatoes here, 2 carrots, and 2 sticks of celery. Now, not everybody adds celery to puchero. This is a little twist that I've added onto it. Normally it's just the carrots, potato and chickpeas and then the chicken. And also these little things called white bones. Now, I'm not sure if you can get these in England or wherever you live, but I'd go to a butcher. They are pork bones that are dried and salted, and they are key to making this stew. And then we have 2 chicken thighs. Now, like I say, very cheap and easy to make, and it's great afterwards when you've made it. This is always served with either noodles or rice in it, so you want to make sure it's got a lot of liquid. And then you just cook your noodles or your rice separate and then add them to the bowl, because obviously this you can eat for a few days. So it makes 3 different meals because you've got it with noodles, with rice, and then if you do the 3rd day, you do an extra potato, and then you serve it with potatoes. So this is one of those typical wonderful Spanish dishes. I'm just going to put some water in my pan. Right, normally with a pan this size, I would add a salted pork rib as well. But today I'm just going to do it with the 2 white bones. Obviously you can cook this with a much smaller amount. Always plenty of chickpeas. So if you're making a smaller batch, I'd put 1 carrot, 1 potato, 1 celery stick, and I still probably use half a bag of chickpeas, or maybe less. It's important to use dried chickpeas, so you can either soak them the night before or fast soak them. And be careful with how much salt you're adding. So if you do have this, if you can get hold of the salted bone, which is key, then I would be careful with how much salt you add to the pan, because obviously the salted bones are very salty. Now I'm just going to turn this on so it starts getting to temperature. And these chickpeas that I have now soaked, I'll put them to the side and I will cook them after. Chickpeas, if you're not using a pressure cooker, chickpeas take about 4 hours to cook. They take 3 or 4 hours to cook, so they're nice and soft. That's why I use the pressure cooker. In the pressure cooker they're done in 45 minutes. No, 15 minutes, sorry. Because I'm putting chicken legs in here as well, I want to get it warm first, so I'm only going to pressure cook it for 15 minutes so I can get the legs out, and then I can carry on boiling in case the chickpeas aren't perfectly cooked. Now the great thing about this meal, because you're cooking the chickpeas in the stew from when they were dry, from when they were raw, the aquafaba gets released into it, and that's what makes it a perfect dish for someone who's hypoglycemic or diabetic, even though it's got potatoes in it. You don't have to put 2 potatoes in, you can put in just 1, but they don't affect it, they don't make it fast. On a whole, the whole dish is very slow and it doesn't spike your insulin levels. I would be using whole grain noodles or whole grain rice for serving this dish, but here in Spain they tend to just use white noodles or white rice. It's a very, very popular dish. So I'm going to get all that ready, bring that up to temperature, and then what you do is you buy 2 chicken thighs from the butcher's. Now, you want them completely untouched. You want the skin on them. You don't want them to have been chopped up in any way. You want them whole like that. And then you just place them into the water. The great thing about living in Spain is that most of the stews and recipes are great for either a vegetarian, someone who doesn't like meat like me, obviously not this one, but for hypoglycemic and a slow release when you don't want those insulin spikes, because everything's made with pulses. You've got chickpeas, white beans, lentils. They make lots of different stews with these things, and I will be slowly recording all of the ones that we make. I've been perfecting this recipe from the help from my friends who tell me how to make it and other dishes. And like I said, this one just happens to be a particular favourite in the family. I used to eat this when I went to school as a kid, and it was quite an enjoyable dish. I've always remembered it. Okay, so I've depressurised the pan. And now I'm going to use some tongs. Get the legs out. Okay, so now what we need to do is debone the chicken thighs, and then we can throw that back in. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can keep the chicken separate and just add it to the top, add it to the dish every time, or you can just throw it all back in. I tend to throw it all back in. So now I've deboned the chicken. Not a lot of chicken comes off 2 thighs. I'll pop it all back in here, and that is the puchero done. As I've made such a large batch, I separated some off into a separate saucepan and added the noodles. Noodles only take a couple of minutes, so as you're heating the soup, it cooks easy. When you're doing the rice, you have to do the rice separately, and this is it. It has a bit less liquid than normal, because I didn't quite get as much out. There we go. This is what puchero looks like. Finished. Lovely, yummy, healthy and nutritious. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as I will be doing more of these delicious Spanish recipes that work great for everybody, especially if you're on a budget. Great batch cooking, and it's cheap and cheerful during these hard times that we're going through in the world. And they also are perfect for keeping your blood sugars on an even keel. That's all for me.